We have breaking news right now, a police pursuit.
And Desmond Shaw is live overhead in SkyCal. Des, this looks like you're in the Westlake area.
That's right, Ruta Bay and Pat. We are right by MacArthur Park and now headed towards downtown Los Angeles here on 6th Street. This is an alleged DUI driver. You can see we're going, I think, right by MacArthur Park right now. So the speeds haven't been particularly high, but we have covered quite a bit of distance. We'll see what they do here is they come up to this red light going right through it here, and you're talking about somebody potentially being impaired, just adding a lot to the danger. But this is actually LAPD's Van Nuys division that is following this. There you see their helicopter overhead, and so this has come, a pretty long way. They're actually on the edge of North Hollywood and Van Nuys when this first began, and then came over to North Hollywood and then southbound on the 170 and the 101. Oh boy, it looks like this vehicle might be having some trouble right here. There was talk about maybe a pit maneuver if traffic allows, if speed allows, but every time that LAPD gets pretty close to this person's bumper, they kind of seem to panic. And this is a pretty large SUV. It looks like it might be having some trouble with the tires, but we're in a big pedestrian corridor here, right over by MacArthur Park, the Westlake area, zigging and zagging around surface streets. We'll see how LAPD is going to try to bring this one to an end. Pat, Ruta Bay, and Mike. Yeah,
it's pretty. You talk about surface streets, and it looked pretty narrow there. Look at this. I mean, he has dodged several cars. So it certainly could have been, accidents or at least brushing paint, as you will. Again, what did you say the want was, Desmond, for this driver?
It was an alleged DUI, so it's always kind of, curious what, are they coming to try maybe set up for a pit maneuver there? Not sure, but, did they see them kind of weaving in and out of lanes or just driving really sloppy? Like what set LAPD off on that whenever they say, suspected DUI? So, we'll try to move forward here to the stop. No, there we go. Coming back out behind the building, but we are kind of headed towards downtown LA. So you can see this person is kind of a little bit squirrely in these lanes, and now all of a sudden up to 60 miles an hour. And we saw some smoke coming from those tires. So this is just a really bad combination of factors here, and really getting close to downtown now at this point. We've seen him go through a couple of red lights as well. Hopefully, if LAPD can bring this to an end before we get into the area with all of the tall buildings, but because that's going to complicate things for them from the air. So if they really have serious interest in stopping this, they're going to need to stay on this subject's bumper here before we get into downtown LA.
Yeah, not only the tall buildings, but pedestrians in downtown LA as well. And Mike, you're on the desk following this as well. What is the process you're going through as we try to learn more about this driver?
Yeah, a couple of interesting things. All we know right now is officially is that it's a DUI suspect, but I want to bring up that the George units, those are the Van Nuys gang units, are the ones that started this. So yes, the want is DUI, but it was started by those gang officers. And the fact that we are in now getting on the freeway, the 110 north here, but the fact that they have not given this up, they've not gone into tracking mode, they're sticking with it for the want simply is a DUI, which usually they would let something like that go pretty quickly. And the fact that it was gang units that were involved in the start of this, they may know this person, they may have reason to believe this person is up to something else. We did see that spotlight come off now, so they actually may just now have gone into tracking mode. We'll work on seeing if we can get that officially, but you see those units still very close behind as that person on the 110 and then right back off of it.
I was going to say, now they're making another transition. And you know what, did we see a cell phone or something when Desmond had that shot through the driver's window? I saw something.
Yeah, it was kind of hard to tell, but I did see him, I think his arm up there too.
Do we know it's just one driver, or just one person, I should say, in the car?
I think as far as we've heard, Des, I don't know if you've heard any different, but as far as I've heard, I believe it's just the driver.
And look at all that traffic down there.
I believe so too. From the looks that we had inside, it looked like just the driver in the vehicle. And this is what I was talking about here as we try to navigate around these tall buildings. It's difficult not just for us, but definitely for LAPD as well. Pretty difficult on my pilot trying to keep tabs on this, but we are now in the financial district here and making a turn onto Flower Street. So right in the midst of all of the super tall buildings right here. We'll do our best to continue to move around, but I did kind of see a little bit of the suspect there. Looked like he might have had some choice words for some of the officers there, and maybe might have been some taunting. I thought I saw a cell phone as well, Pat, with that suspect. So maybe they were talking to someone, or the new thing, unfortunately, is some of these suspects get on social media and start live streaming their pursuit experience. So we've definitely seen way too much of that. It looks like we're headed back westbound now, as we are right by so many of the tall buildings that I've done. Look at this segment's on. You can see the reflection off of the shiny glass of all the red and blue lights there. So hang with us here as we will hopefully be exiting downtown. And there again, you see LAPD, and you see just how difficult it is for them on these pursuits as well. Difficult for everyone involved and for them on the ground, just because again, we're a high traffic area, lots of pedestrians as well. So, and I think they might be getting ready to get on the 110 South, I just heard, but
yeah, right there.
LAPD's, yep, here we go. So we'll zoom back in here, but yeah, I mean, LAPD's helicopter lost them there for a bit as well.
It's interesting. Well, tall buildings, parking garages, but they decided to get back on the freeway going in the opposite direction. Might want to pick up on what you were talking about, like the Van Nuys division. Noticing the car maybe going in and out, but at the same time, they found this to be a person of interest. So they ran the plates to find out this information?
Yeah, or the gang units in these divisions are well familiar with the players that are in their division, right? So while they haven't definitively said that they know who this person is, the fact that they are chasing this guy so hard for just a DUI. I mean, you know how many times there are DUI chases that we don't even get to because they're canceled so fast because LAPD just does not deem them worthy. But there is something about this person that they're chasing. While yes, the official want is DUI, there is something about this person that they have rejected going into tracking mode. They have let this go way outside of Van Nuys division into downtown LA, and now we're southbound on the 110, I believe. And now we're getting even further from the original jurisdiction, the division that started this. They've not asked CHP to take over, despite the fact that we've been on the 101 and now the 110. So there is something about this person that the Van Nuys division gang units want. They asked for additional units. They had 3 units and a supervisor involved in this chase. And as I mentioned, they are just not giving this up. And that is unusual of a DUI pursuit when we see the LAPD chasing this type of suspect.
And they have not asked CHP to take over.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been on the freeway. It's been on a couple at least, but they have not asked them to join in this effort. Or I shouldn't say join, because once they take over until it gets back on surface streets. But very interesting. Now, University Park, they're near USC.
Yeah, we're just passing USC. USC will be just on the right side of the screen as we're headed south, which will bring us to the dreaded LAX airspace that we'll have to deal with. So if he stays on the 110, maybe we'll be able to transition with him. Depends on how nice the controller is over at LAX tonight. So I know Dylan will do our best to push us through that airspace. But yeah, we are getting into that tough spot.
Yeah, and we've seen several close calls. I mean, this is not an isolated time right now on the freeway or downtown when the driver was going through downtown. We got some pretty good shots of the driver with the window down, and you can definitely see some sort of screen. It looked to me also like a phone as he's driving, or she, and swerving through lanes, coming very close to other cars at driving up to 70 miles per hour at times.
Now, LAPD, is that the chopper overhead, or?
Yes, that is. LAPD airship is overhead, and then the ground units are still from the Van Nuys area, which is interesting too. They haven't asked, we're now coming into LAPD's Southwest Division, and they've not asked other LAPD divisions to take over. Those Van Nuys officers have kind of stuck with it the whole time. Desmond and I are still listening to it on Van Nuys frequency. So those Van Nuys units are really in it.
Well, you know what? Looking at our speedometer, they're having a hard time keeping up. So obviously this person has picked up speed since we've been watching this pursuit as he's gone up and down the 110 freeway.
Yeah, got on the 110. Got on the 110 South for a short time, went through downtown area, and went on 110 North into downtown, and is now on the 110 South, heading into, as you said, just past USC, South LA area. Okay,
and we've got a number of vehicles, law enforcement, LAPD vehicles behind this driver.
And we're dealing with our pesky flyover right there, as well as the LAX airspace. So I know Des is working with the pilot right now to figure out what our options are, but that'll be an issue, especially if he gets off the freeway, which I can't tell. Des, I know you see the flashing lights under there. They're still going? Yeah, they're still going. There he is.
Yeah, right to the left.
Yeah, they're still here. We're just kind of trying to make a... and anything once we get to this point is kind of a bit of a gamble. We have to kind of make a decision here right now as to how we're going to approach this. So I think just let me pause back to you guys for just about 30 seconds here, and I think we're going to make a choice. It gets really close to that person's bumper here, so southbound 110. You know, yeah, I mean, even though we're in the 9 o'clock hour, there is quite a bit of traffic here as we get into the heart of South LA. Thursday evening is always busy for the 110, even at this, you know, later hour. Almost going into the dividers there between the left lane and the express lane. So we're going to contact LAX and try to make a transition out of the southbound side and pick up from the 105, since they seem to be pretty intense so far, but sticking here to the southbound Harbor Freeway.
You know, Mike, you had mentioned, or Desmond mentioned, that the vehicle might be a bit impaired.
Yeah, it does.
Almost. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, yeah, I mean, when we're seeing him kind of weave in and out of almost hit those little plastic, you know, markers between the express lanes. I mean, if they're thinking he's DUI, that would be one of their indications. Again, right there, as he kind of weaves back and forth across the lane. So, you know, that's kind of their probable cause to have that DUI suspicion that would allow them to initiate the stop. And then obviously he didn't.
And look at this move.
Yeah, as he's going in and out of cars there, Desmond signals going to come back and forth as we're kind of maneuvering there to get around it. We should be seeing from him here in just a second. Yeah, I think he's back up now, Mike, if we want to go back to that. There he is. And Des is working with our LAX controllers to get us through there as we're looking at the long end of the lens here of this DUI suspect moving through the 110 freeway. And it looks like we're going to be coming up on Manchester as our next exit there.
What if he would try to exit? Do we know that this started in the Van Nuys division?
We do, yeah.
So
Van Nuys officers, up in the valley, San Fernando Valley, and then they kind of moved him through the North Hollywood area. I believe he got south on the 170 and then south on the 101 through downtown. Is he exiting, Des? That's going to be never a good thing for us.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, getting off the freeway here at Manchester, which is really going to be difficult for us. We're still waiting for clearance here from LAX, but I mean, he's a little closer to the south side of that sensitive airspace. But, you know, now they're turning around. Maybe he's just going to get back on the freeway. So let's hold on here for a second and see. No, looks like he's going east. So we were about to make that transition, but now we may need to kind of go to the east edge of the airspace space. So yes, let's go ahead and do that. Chris, my pilot Chris up here, doing a great job between the buildings in downtown and now LAX's airspace. Always very, very complicated. So we saw them continuing eastbound. I think that's 82nd Street. They're crossing Broadway. So we're going to have to go all the way to Alameda to pick up this pursuit now from the other side. And we'll see. There had definitely been talk about pits and spike strips, and none of that was used to my knowledge at this point. But so many of these pursuits end up in South LA, and we'll see if it continues going as we make our way to the east edge of the LAX boundary.
And he's made some turns. He's now on East 79th Street, excuse me, now on 80th Street. So it makes you wonder, whenever they do these types of maneuvers, if they possibly know where they're going or they're planning to stop somewhere and try to make a bail out or something.
Yeah, we did hear that the registered owner, and we don't know that the registered owner is the driver, but the registered owner, where the plate comes back to, is roughly in this area. So he is headed to the address that is listed on file for the registered owner.
It is surprising how often some of these drivers who lead law enforcement on pursuits end up going back to their own neighborhoods. So, of course, we'll continue to watch this. You can see once in a while the bright lights of the officers there chasing behind him, but we are kind of far away from it right now.
Yeah, it makes it a little difficult. So we're going to move on here.
Go back now to that breaking news, and the police pursuit has ended.
Yeah, look at all the lights. Desmond Shaw, live overhead in SkyCal. Hey, Des.
Well, Pat Rudabay, we suspected that maybe the suspect was headed back to the location where this vehicle was registered to. Oh, well, now they just started moving again. I was about to say how the suspect had stopped, and all of a sudden they are back on the move here away from Avalon and 83rd. So, we're shooting this again from a distance because of where we're at by LAX. I think that definitely caught LAPD's helicopter off guard right there. But there was word that, well, you know what, here now, LAPD had them blocked on the other side, so here's down at 84th Street. Let's see what the suspect does here as they kind of squeeze their way in between the alleyway and LAPD, and now the pursuit continuing. Now, there were some people that had come out from that home And we had heard that they were kind of causing a disturbance. So if someone or a group of people that the suspect knew, if that was their family member or what, but again, the shot, it's not that great because of LAX, and now we're getting a laser shine on us as well. Very nice. But back out here and coming right back around to where they were. So, just it seemed like the writing was on the wall. And the guy had just pulled over like he wanted to surrender, and then right when we came back to air, just kind of gallivanting around again now at slow speeds, right back where we were, making that turn, hands out the window. But I think he might go over a spike strip right there. They had thrown one out to try to stop the rear tires in case he tried to back up. And, if it was still out there, he might have hit that again. So we can see even from this distance, they're out there with weapons drawn. He's got his hands out. He's definitely talking with officers, but just refusing to comply here. Pat, Rudabay, Mike.
Well, you know what, Desmond, from your shot, is he boxed in? It looks like he pulled into a driveway of sort. I mean, does he have anywhere to go?
Well, I mean, we thought that he was in the driveway before, but that might be that alleyway that he was on. So there's a driveway and then an alleyway. And, I mean, you see a lot of officers out there now with their weapons drawn. And I think he ran over the spike strip that was right there. So that's, should just be mean more to this driver that the jig is up on this one, that it's time to give up. But still, you can see him hanging out the window there, and look at all these officers that are out there. They might be over on the other side of the vehicle as well. You can see a flashlight there from the west side of that. We'll just put this up again and let you know where we're looking. Avalon and 83rd, and then just did kind of that weird loop around down to 84th and back up around and stopping right where they had earlier. So, this is definitely a tough one for LAPD. And again, like Mike was saying, that there were gang officers involved in this, and the fact that they didn't give it up makes me think that this is someone that they, really want to get in custody. Now the door's open, but the door had been open earlier, so we'll see if that means anything, or if this is going to turn into a standoff, or if they're going to try to take off again.
He's gesturing.
Yeah, we saw both hands at least at one point. It's kind of hard to see right now. I think at least one hand is out, and at one point we did see both of his hands out the window, which is what the officers there want to see at least. Kind of amazing earlier when he went down that alleyway and there was already an officer there in a vehicle blocking it off, and he just went around that vehicle.
Desmond, when you said there was some kind of disturbance, people that live in the area, is that what you meant by that? And disturbance, were they like maybe taunting police officers, or how we've seen some interactions that are certainly against police officers. So I'm just wondering what you meant when you said you saw some kind of disturbance. That only heightens
we
the
just
situation.
heard LAPD basically say that they basically just said that there was an unruly group that had come out of the address where the suspect was parked. So if that was family members, or if these were just people wanting to know what's going on in front of their home. But we know that this is very, very near, if not the exact address of where the vehicle was registered, and it's not that uncommon for suspects, for whatever reason, to want to kind of surrender on their home turf, so to speak. And we have seen, definitely emotions come and tempers fly from family members of alleged suspects, that get out and get involved in these situations. So it wasn't really clear it was just kind of one little blurb that I had heard LAPD saying about that. But, now the door's closed again, and now it's back open again. And just, a lot of words being exchanged. Okay, now he's out, and we've got some hands up. This is the best we've seen so far. And let's see if this is, actually going to be the, okay, now pulling up the his waistband, his shirt over to make so they can see inside his waistband. Another good sign is they're not coming in and taking him into custody. So, yeah, so they did get him. There was just a lot of back and forth and not wanting to kind of accept the reality of the situation. And we had a few dangerous moments in this pursuit, too, with kind of some wrong way driving and a lot of pedestrians out there up to 60 miles an hour and taking turns kind of fast in that top-heavy vehicle. But in the end, at least the suspect came to their senses. No one injured, no crashes, and LAPD taking this alleged DUI suspect and possibly more into custody.
Yeah, maybe the neighborhood could quiet down a bit. It's like 9:30 at night, and you've got all these sirens, and and lights. So, all right, that's a code 4. Thank you so much, Desmond.